Welcome to Shomach Shov on the Daf. Shir sponsor Louis Nishpan Sam Yaakov Shalom Nea Basitzchok. We're holding in Shavuos Daf Chov Gimel. The Gemara at the end of the Amud Beis mentions what we mentioned already in the last two blot. The idea of Mushba ve'oimed Mar Sinai. Any mitzvah, a person is Mushba ve'oimed Mar Sinai, not to violate the mitzvah, and therefore a person cannot do a Shevuah on a mitzvah because ain't Shevuah chal al Shevuah. Where is that Shevuah that we say that Am Yisrael are Mushba ve'oimed Mar Sinai, that a Shevuah in Mar Sinai, that they have to keep the mitzvahs, and therefore every mitzvah is connected to a Shevuah? Where is that Shevuah? So this daf is learned in Shabbos Parshas Bechukosai Tafshipei and Daf Yomi, and it's very appropriate because the Medrash tells us that the Shevuah is the Toichecha of Parshas Bechukosai. The lashon of the Medrash is Medrash Rabbo and Parshas Nosoi. Perek Ter Parsha Mem Zayin, it says the following: Uminayin shebesinai lokchu Shevuas ha'olah. How do we know that in Sinai, Har Sinai, there was a Shevuah? Sheken Ksiv. The Medrash is quoting the pasuk at the end of Parshas Kisavoi and the end of the Teichach on Parshas Kisavoi. Eile divrei Bris. These are the Bris that was done in Parshas Kisavoi. Milvad Bris shekros itam mechoyev. Except the Bris that was done in Choyev in Har Sinai. Hekish Bris Choyev lebris eretz moyav. We have a hekesh from the Bris of Parshas Kisavoi to the Bris at Parshas Bechukosai. Malo alon be'olah afkan be'olah. So the Marzu explains on the Medrash that the Allah is written in the Parshas Nitzavim. It says, that's there in Moav. That's the end of the Midbar. We have an Allah. It says the Allah. How do we know there was an Allah also in Har Sinai? Because you learn the Hekesh from each other. And what is the bris that we had in Har Sinai? Meaning Parshas Bechukosai, the Klalos of Parshas Bechukosai. So clearly the Medrash tells us that we have a bris of Parshas Bechukosai, but a bris in Avos Moav and Parshas Kisavoi. They both come with a Shevuah, and the Shevuah is the Mushba ve'oimed Mar Sinai that we have in our Gemara, refers to the one in Parshas Bechukosai. And if you look at the Rambam in the end of Hilchos Milo, the Rambam says that the Torah, the Kol Torah, there's three brises that were nichras al Torah. One bris is the bris of Parshas Bechukosai. The second bris is Parshas Kisavoi, and the third bris is Parshas Nitzavim. What are these three brises, these three covenants, and what's the chiluk between them? So the Vilna Gaon Hader Silyon Parshas Nitzavim gives us the key to understand this sugya. Because the Vilna Gaon says like this: if you look at Parshas Kisavoi is written beloshon yochid. It's written in a singular form. The entire parsha is written as if it's talking to an individual. And this is the Gemara in the end of Maseches Megillah. The Gemara in the end of Maseches Megillah compares the bris of Parshas Bechukosai to the bris of Parshas Kisavoi. And the Gemara says that Parshas Bechukosai, it says beloshon rabim, in plural tense. Parshas Kisavoi, it says in singular tense. Says the Vilna Gaon, what's the difference between singular tense and plural tense? Singular tense is said to the nation as a whole. When you speak to Am Yisrael, the whole Am Yisrael together, that's singular tense. As we say every day, Shema Yisrael. We say Shema Yisrael, Shema Shemechot, Shema is Loshon Yachid. It's a singular tense. I'm talking to Am Yisrael as a whole. When I'm saying plural tense, I'm talking to each individual on his own. And what the Vilna Gaon is implying is, because the Gemara in Megillah says, the bris of Parshas Kisavoi is more lenient than the bris of Parshas Bechukosai. Why is that so, according to the Vilna Gaon? Because Parshas Kisavoi, we have the koyach, the power of the tzibur together. The tzibur are the ones that can always withstand the claws because ain't tzibur mace. The Gemara tells us that tzibur will never die. So Parshas Kisavoi is talking to the tzibur as a whole. Immediately after Parshas Kisavoi, it says, Atem Nitzavim hayoim kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokechem. Says the Vilna Gaon, Am Yisrael is surviving because they have the power of a tzibur. Am Yisrael will always exist. Atem Nitzavim hayoim kulchem, together. Explains the Vilna Gaon, the hemshech of Parshas Nitzavim. What is Parshas Nitzavim talking about? It's talking about the individual that is leaving the tzibur, that feels the tzibur has tzaros, Am Yisrael has their issues, I'm standing on my own. And he's poire roish velano. He leaves on his own. It says, "Shalom yeli ki b'shvirus li bi'elech." I'm going to go on my own path. I don't care about the tzibur. So then, lo yoyve Hashem sloyach loy, and it says all the big klalos of Parshas Nitzavim. That's what the Vilna Gaon explains. So based on the Vilna Gaon, it's very clear the difference between Parshas Kisavoi and Parshas Nitzavim. Parshas Kisavoi is on the tzibur as a whole. Am Yisrael as a whole, there is a bris, there's a covenant, that as a tzibur they have to do and keep the Torah, and if they don't, there will be terrible things that happen to them, but they will survive. And if there's an individual that leaves the tzibur and stands on his own, then you have a special bris of Parshas Nitzavim that you cannot leave the tzibur, and someone who leaves the tzibur will have a terrible punishment. Umocha Hashem es shmoi tachas hashamayim. That's the lashon pasuk of Parshas Nitzavim. And this is what comes out from the Vilna Gaon, and this my Rebbe Moshe Pirzitzel used to speak about this a lot. The shaila is, what about Parshas Bechukosai? The Vilna Gaon does not address what is Parshas Bechukosai referring to. Parshas Bechukosai speaks to every individual. That's what the Gaon tells us. That's what the Gemara tells us at the end of Megillah. It's B'loshen Rabbi, to every individual. So where does that fit in this structure? But according to what we just learned, according to what the Gemara by us telling us, Mushba v'oyin mar Sinai, the Parshas comes out, the Bris of Parshas Bechukosai is the obligation of every individual to keep the Torah. Every individual has a Shevuah, has a Allah. He went through a Bris, through a covenant that he individually needs to keep the Torah. It's a chiyuv of an individual to keep the Torah. And mainly the three brises of Torah come out to be very clear. Parshas Bechukosai is the chiyuv of the individual to keep the Torah, the Mushba v'oyin mar Sinai. Parshas Savo is the chiyuv of the tzibur as a whole to keep the Torah. And the Parshas Nitzavim is the one who separates from the tzibur. And just to add one more nekuda to this, the why really the Parshas Bechukosai is focusing on the yachid, on every individual. Parshas Savo is focusing on the tzibur, because there is a big yesod that comes out from what we learned in the past, that the power of the tzibur is needed when Am Yisrael is going down. When Am Yisrael is deteriorating, going to a lower dargo, they need the power of the tzibur. That's why when Am Yisrael goes into Eretz Yisrael, the Maharal says that they become a ravim zelazeh, because they're leaving the midbar, they're going into Eretz Yisrael, they go down a darga, they need the koyach tzibur. When Am Yisrael goes from Bayis Rishon to Bayis Sheni, they're going down a dargo. Now starts the idea of tefillah and tefillah b'tzibur, that starts at Bayis Sheni, and so on and so forth. Parshas Bechukosai is in Sefer Vayikro, it's the beginning of the midbar. It's Bar Sinai, it's when Am Yisrael is still on their higher level. Parshas Savo is when Am Yisrael comes to the end of the midbar. After the first generation lost, they all died. And what's left is the Dor Eretz Yisrael. It's after all the Chatoim. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to us, not even HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to us directly. So mainly when I'm speaking of these two koyachas of Am Yisrael, the koyach of the Yochid and the koyach of the Tzibur, the koyach of the Yochid is emphasized in Parshas Bechukosai when Am Yisrael on a higher level, speaking to every individual because he has their own power. Parshas Savo is speaking to Am Yisrael as a tzibur. When Am Yisrael is on a lower level, we need the koyach tzibur, so we're focusing on the tzibur. And to conclude this mahalach, just one more nekuda over here, is the same Gemara Megillah says the Parshas Bechukosai is read before Shavuos, and Parshas Savo is read before Shoshana. Why is that so? Based on what we learned, it makes a lot of sense. Shavuos is the time of the avoid of each individual. What do we do in Shavuos? We have a din of Torah, Kabbalah Torah. Everybody is working on Torah. Torah is very individual. Every individual accepts Torah in his own level. Even when you have a group of people in a shir, each one learns in a different way, understands in a different way. But in Rosh Hashanah, what are we doing in Rosh Hashanah? We're doing avodas tzibur. Because at time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you need a tzibur in order to go through Yom Adin. The Shulchan Aruch brings that even a place where it doesn't have a tzibur during the year, they should make sure to hire people to have a tzibur in Yom Noraim. So before Shavuos, the avodah of the Yochid, we say the Teichecho Parshas Bechukosai that speaks about the Yochid. And before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, which is the avodah of the Tzibur, we speak about Parshas Savo, which is the avodah of the Tzibur. Al Kapanim, we learn from our Gemara that Mushba Moimed Var Sinai is the Shevuah on each individual, which is written in Parshas Bechukosai. Anyone who wants to join Shomachshava email list or WhatsApp group, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.